You're listening to the Dre Area Sports Show, live on YouTube and X. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the Dre Area Sports Show. Today I'm joined by Tyler LaRocca, also known as I Don't Give a Fuck What You Think. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Niner fan, content creator, and today we're going to talk about a whole bunch of shit, including if the Niners, are they pretenders or are they contenders for a Super Bowl nonetheless? I mean, look, we already know that their schedule sucks. We know that they have a shot to get to the playoffs, which is great. Hey, that's wonderful. But can they actually run the table and get to the Super Bowl, which will be in their home stadium this season? Which has to be the biggest advantage for if you're the Niners is that, hey, if we get in, we're at home.
Yeah.
Now, the Niners have not been like the most powerhouse team at home either.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost some stinkers at home. They lost to the Jaguars at home. So there's that. The Rams came in here and took a shit all over the field, and they won. And but at least the Niners made it competitive. I'll say that. They made it a competitive game, okay? But looking at the teams that are left on the schedule, we have the bye week this week. We have the Titans, the Bears, who I think
Colts.
Titans, Colts, Bears, Seahawks.
Yeah.
Out of those 4 games, Tyler, how many games do you see? How many games do you see the Niners actually winning in these last 4 games?
So it's really hard because I think they can win 3, but my assumption is they're going to polish off going 2-2.
Yeah, I could see that easily.
I think they're most likely going to lose the Seattle game. And then I think they're going to lose the Colts or the Bears game. I think both teams are the Colts especially right now are sliding a little bit, albeit they played the Texans and the Chiefs. So how hard is a slide when you're playing those teams? But Daniel Jones broke his leg or has a fracture in his leg.
His fibula.
That's pretty rough. But Jonathan Taylor, in my opinion, could, go pretty hard against our defense. And the Bears, dude, they lead the league. So this is my biggest concern about the Bears. They are the league leaders in takeaways in the NFL. Brock Purdy has the highest TD to INT ratio of all starting quarterbacks besides JJ McCarthy. So, and he's the second highest turnover worthy play rate player in the NFL besides JJ McCarthy. So that's pretty bad. And Jameis Winston, sorry. So that's pretty bad company to be in when you're playing a defense that takes the ball away a lot. So if Purdy could play like he did against Cleveland and be like, all right, these guys take the ball away, I'm going to have to not give it away, then I could see them running the table and even possibly going 4-0. My biggest worry is I don't know what they're going to do against Seattle's getting in a shootout's going to be hard for this team, in my opinion. That's my worry, is teams that are going to be in the playoffs with good offenses and good defenses.
But a lot of these teams, too, I mean, when you look at who's going to be in the playoffs for the NFC, you're looking at the Rams. They have a good defense and a good offense, so they're a more complete team.
Yep.
No one's perfect, but they're a much more complete team. The Packers, I think, are defense pretty good. They got Michael Parsons.
Yeah.
But they're not dominant, though. Offensively, they're not dominant either. They got Josh Jacobs, but Jordan Love, he makes some bonehead plays all of the time. In fact, I would say that Brock Purdy has a similar mentality that Jordan Love has. The difference is that Jordan Love has better natural talents.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we've seen him make horrible throws against we're talking about Jordan Love. We've seen him make horrible throws against the Panthers, where he's scrambling around and throws it right to the defender. The defender drops it. Oh my God.
Yeah. And I also will say the biggest thing with the Packers that not a lot of people talk about, because everyone's kind of obsessed with Matt LaFleur, he's a pretty bad play caller.
He's a bad play caller.
He is a bad, I think with the Packers, you could just out-coach him.
He coaches scared. He's very conservative, doesn't take any risks. I mean, when you run the ball on 4th down in shotgun. That's like, what the hell are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
It's fucking stupid. And then you got the Eagles, which we know, powerhouse defense. No matter what, their defense is really, really fucking good. Offense, I don't know what's going on with that. Jalen Hurts can't throw the ball past like 6 yards. He's throwing change-ups in the dirt. I don't know what he's doing right now. But again, the benefit of the doubt. We've seen him perform at an extremely high level in the Super Bowl. So again, and they won. So when you see him play like shit, you're like, well, that's garbage. But I've seen this guy play really, really good, so I know he can do it. Well, I think if the Niners had won the Super Bowl on an overtime drive for a touchdown and then stopped the Chiefs, everyone would be saying, well, even if Brock's making turnovers, we know he can get it done in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he still can because I think he still played a good game. I mean, look, Chris Jones came unblocked. That's the biggest guy in the field. Like Bigfoot's running at you. And you're like, oh, shit. But, again, you look at the Packers, the Eagles, the Seahawks have a really good defense. And I swear to God, every time I watch Seahawks, it's like if they didn't have Jackson, Smith, and Jigba, I don't know what their offense would look like. And I'm like, this guy's been healthy all year. I mean, they should be fucking kissing their lucky stars. And then you got the Buccaneers, who, again, a scrappy team, had a lot of injuries, but they're not. None of these teams are invincible. None of these teams are like, if we run into these guys, we're fucked. We've beaten the Seahawks before. We've beaten the Rams before. And even the game where the Rams beat us pretty bad, the game was close after we went down 21-0. We got it back 21-14. Then it was 28-14. Then it was 28-21. And then they just got pulled away. So if you don't allow them to score early the way they did this last game, then you have a chance against the Rams as well. But so with that being said, the NFC is wide open. And recently, John Lynch, he commented on that on KNBR. He said, this year the Super Bowl is wide open. If it was wide open, why didn't you make a fucking move at the trade deadline?
Pissed me off. Him saying that felt like he was spitting in every fan's face. Like, yeah, it's so wide open. Fuck you guys. Didn't want to make a move anyways. Like, dude, that was the worst answer I think he could have given. Like, in my opinion, I think that pissed me off. Because, yeah, I agree. And that's the thing about these teams, right? When you're talking about these matchups, especially in the playoffs, right? Where it's like, well, yeah, they're inconsistent. Okay. Then let's break it down. They're both consistent. Let's go talent for talent. Rams offense, Niners defense. Oh, yeah, that's not even close. Okay, Seahawks offense, Niners defense. Not even close. Eagles offense, Niners defense. Different universes. So, and that's where it comes down to where it's like, can the Niners run the table? No. I'm pretty confident in saying no. Like, sure, anything can happen. It is football. A Cinderella story can happen. But I would say there is a 99.9% chance the Niners do not run the table. They just don't have the defensive talent, and they don't have the offensive talent, in my opinion, right now.
I think offensively they're getting better and better. I mean, obviously, look, they went against the number 2 ranked defense in the league, and they performed really well. Now, the thing is, though, I left that game thinking, oh, man, that was a number 2 ranked defense. We only gave up 1 sack to Myles Garrett. Brock. Brock looked sharper to me, and Brock was making better pinpoint throws, especially to the sidelines, to the edges. Mm-hmm. And that throw to Jennings was an absolute dart. So I liked seeing that, and I could tell that he's feeling more comfortable putting pressure on his foot because he's not just trying to sling it. He's actually stepping into his throws, which makes a huge difference, right? And we'll talk about Brock Purdy in a second, but they played really well against the number 2 ranked defense, right? But then I'm like, wait a minute. Who else have they fucking played?
Nobody.
When you look at the Browns, right, you're like, okay, well, I mean, if they're the number 2 ranked defense, I mean, they had to have kept them in a lot of games, right? I mean, I'm only looking at, the final score.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at the teams that they have faced, right? I'm trying to get to it right now. This computer's fucking tripping out right now. Here it is. I'm like buying time. When you look at who they played, the Niners beat them 26-8. So they gave up 26 points. They beat the Raiders. Raiders suck. Baltimore scored 23. The New York Jets with Justin Fields scored 27. The Patriots 32. they kicked the shit out of the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Then the Pittsburgh Steelers scored 23. My point is this: the Vikings scored 21 points. My point is this: is that are they a good defense? Yes, they are. But because their offense sucks so bad, their defense eventually falls apart as the game goes on because they just can't hold it up. So again, they scored 26 points. The Niners did, but it's not anything that hasn't been done before for this team. But still, I thought they played really well against this defense. And you could tell early on that this defense was giving them problems because they didn't know how to get around it. They couldn't run the ball again. But when you go against other teams that we were talking about, like the Packers, like the Seahawks, I think the Niners can be very competitive going into the playoffs because they have a lot of experience. Now, when you look at the current playoff picture, right, you're like, well, where do they stand in the playoffs? Well, this is it. This is where they're the number 7 seed right now.
They'd be playing the Rams. And my guess,
the Rams.
Yeah, they'd get the shit kicked out of them.
I don't know. You never know what the Rams are. The Rams are kind of like Jekyll and Hyde when they play against the Niners. They either whoop their ass or they're like, oh, we can't do anything right. The fuck's going on?
But that was with Fred Warner in the game. That's the problem is even when Mac beat them, we still had Fred. We don't even have that. We don't have Fred. We don't have Nick. And in my opinion, when you're going against this Rams offense, like you saw what McVay was doing too. He was throwing people all over the place because Fred would redirect during the play. So McVay would throw people all over. And we had a point at which Mustafa's covering Devontae Adams on the goal line.
That was a joke. That should have been a timeout.
Yes.
Like, when he rotated over, timeout.
Yeah, like
this is a non-favorable matchup.
And that's what McVay uses. Is like, okay, well, Fred's the conductor afterwards. So I'm just going to move everyone around where they usually would need Fred. And that's where they just tortured us. It's like we couldn't do anything. And so, and say they somehow beat them. Then next they're playing probably, I think, because the Bears would be first. Yeah, that's not going to stick.
That's not going to stick.
Next they probably play like the Eagles or the Bucks. The Bucks already beat us, so it's like they're playing these teams that, when it comes to playoffs, without Fred Warner, without Nick Bosa, without making a move for someone that could have actually been there, even if the Cowboys sneak in, I'm not confident in the Niners against them. Like their defense just can't. There's not an offense on the screen right now that I say, yeah, the Niners defense can hold them down.
I mean, the Niners defense has been playing a lot better in the last few weeks. Now, granted, they've been going against like the Cardinals,
Panthers, and the Browns.
The Browns' offense is complete dog shit too.
Yeah,
but still, I think this does give them more confidence going into the playoffs or going into the last stretch of the season. Like, hey, we've been playing really good. This is great. When Cleveland Farrell's getting 2 sacks a game, then like, okay, these teams probably suck. Now we'll see a big test when they go against the Colts. But like we were saying earlier, with Daniel Jones having the fractured fibula, it's kind of like
it's not even a real test again.
Yeah, it's like, are we catching another break? What's going to happen the following week? Are the Bears going to be down Caleb Williams? The Bears is another team too. The Bears are ranked number 1. That's not going to hold.
No.
To me, they are more pretenders than contenders. I think the Bears are riding a weak schedule because remember last year they sucked.
Yeah,
and so they're riding another weak schedule. Look. Over the AFC, the Patriots, they're riding a weak schedule. They've been horrible the past 4 or 5 years. And so now they've got a favorable schedule because they've been sucking so bad, but now they got talent, and so they're making a huge difference. So there is a chance the Niners could make some noise in the playoffs. I think they will make the playoffs regardless, but then you have this. This is what I really want to talk to you about. The stipulations.
The bye week stipulations.
The bye week stipulations. So Chicago, Green Bay. If Chicago wins, Niners pass Green Bay, moving to the 6th seed. If Green Bay wins, they move into the 6th seed. Chicago and Green Bay tie. Well, no, that's not going to happen. Regardless, regardless of the result of Chicago and Green Bay, the Niners will move ahead 1 spot.
Yeah.
And then you got the Seattle and Rams. If Seattle loses, they move up. If the Rams lose, they move up. So no matter what happens, like they're going to move up regardless, at least 1 spot. And if both the Rams and the Seahawks lose, they move to the number 2 seed. Again, I call this dream fool's gold because as great as the Niners are looking right now, as much as I love watching them win these games, is this on a false pretense?
Yeah, it is. It is. We have a weak schedule. We're like, think about it this way, right? So even if Green Bay wins and we pass Chicago, well, we play Chicago. So if we lose to Chicago, that doesn't matter. That genuinely doesn't matter at all. If we lose to Chicago, they're now ahead of us. Seattle and the Rams, right? The Rams aren't losing to Arizona, bro. So they're not losing to Arizona. So we're not advancing to the 5 seed. Seattle is most likely not losing to Atlanta. They are also awful. They're not moving to the 5 seed. They're both definitely not losing. And at the end of the day, we still have to play the Seahawks at the end of the year. And I think the Seahawks game at the end of the year, in my opinion, is most likely going to be for a playoff spot. I think that's going to be a win and get in game.
But see, that's the thing, too, is that you almost want to set up the season to where you got to beat the Titans and you got to beat either the Colts or the Bears, if not both, because you don't want that last game of the year to decide if you're going to be in the playoffs or not, because then it becomes a ginormous game. It becomes a playoff game.
Yeah.
So the Niners have a shot to do that. If they can, I think they will beat the Titans. Titans are just god-awful. And out of the Bears and the Colts, which one of those two games do you think the Niners will win?
I think they have a better chance of beating the Colts right now.
On the road.
Sauce is hurt. Daniel Jones has a broken leg. And Mooney Ward has been dealing off and on with injuries. So you quite literally can just be like, all right, our whole game plan is load the box and stop Jonathan Taylor. Like, that is priority one. Daniel Jones has a broken foot. He's not going to be able to dice you up. Whereas the Bears, again, like, the big thing with the Bears is they lead the league in takeaways, and we have a quarterback that loves to give the football to the defense.
Now, that is true, but then last week against a number 2 ranked defense in the Browns, he did not turn the ball over, which was good. Good.
I agree. I gave him huge credit for that, but I was talking about it on the stream with Grant. My opinion is they had to come to Jesus after the Panthers game, where it was like, Kyle... Yeah, we've seen Kyle ream Brock in his locker before. It's been a big deal.
Yeah.
My guess is Kyle goes, yo, you cannot do that against Cleveland. Like what you just did, we will lose the game if you do that against Cleveland. And my guess is, and that's what I want to see is, will Brock still do this when it is not that violently emphasized?
But here's the thing, though. It's like, look, if you guys have watched our previous streams, we've talked about this ad nauseum. Here, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get real close to the screen. We talk about this ad nauseum, okay? We've said, both Tyler and I have both said, we want to see Brock take care of the football. If Brock takes care of the football, then the Niners will win.
Yes.
And those first couple of weeks, I think he was being overly aggressive and trying to get the ball down the field, that he was putting the ball in harm's way. Mm-hmm. He was not on time against the what is it? The
Seahawks?
Panthers.
Okay.
Against the Panthers when he was throwing the ball to Jennings deep in their own zone. I was like, what are you doing? Bad placement. And so he's trying to force the ball on the field. The second interception he threw to in the end zone trying to get the ball to Ricky Pearsall, he had George Kittle wide open, or he could have ran for a first down. But no, he tried to go the aggressive route, didn't set his feet, and tried to use just his arm alone, like a Colin Kaepernick throw, and it didn't work. And so we've been saying, you got to take care of the ball. And now that he's been taking care of the ball in this past game, we saw a huge difference. How many times did we see Brock Purdy roll out, throw the ball away?
Yes. And that, honestly, that's why I said this is the best game I've seen him play in like a year and a half, outside of like the Bears game last year, which didn't matter because they sucked.
It was the smartest game that he's played.
Yes. Like the game like that. Like, do I think that's enough, again, with what they have on defense right now to win a Super Bowl? No. Because, again, like, I didn't want to be overly critical because I'm critical enough of Brock. That game wasn't like that's a $55 million quarterback. No, that was a game where it was like, okay, nice. That's a solid game he put together. But to win a Super Bowl, those games got to be like, you do still need him to make a play at some point. And he didn't. He just kind of took what he was given. And so it's like against a team like the Bears, right? That's not going to just be like, oh yeah, here's the ball on our 20, here's the ball on our 40, here's the ball on our 40, and never get the ball back. Like, that's what I kind of need to see more of from Brock. Because again, a majority of this season, he has wanted to give the football away more often than not. This was the one game, because the Cardinals game, he threw 3 or 4 picks. They're just fourth stringers for a reason. Like, this is the only game I've seen where it was like he didn't throw a turnover ball, where it was like, oh, that should have been picked. And if he can keep playing like that while maneuvering in his playmaking, yes, I think they could run the table, go 4-0, and make the playoffs. But my big worry is just when he starts playing better offenses, right, where he has to kind of compensate, he starts feeling the need to play hero ball. Is that going to come back, right?
Well, and it might, but I think that having a guy like Christian McCaffrey active on your roster that you didn't have last season has made a huge difference. Now, we saw this past game, he used McCaffrey much more often. He used George Kittle much more often. And then what did he do? He struck downfield only when he had to. And when he had to, he made pinpoint throws with accuracy. I mean, look, say what you want. I think that throw to George Kittle, that was only where George Kittle could catch that ball, unless he threw it higher, obviously. But he threw it back shoulder, only where Kittle could get it. And, all credit goes to Kittle. He made that catch.
Yeah, that was
phenomenal.
That's a George Kittle right there.
And so then that brings up the next question is, if they get in the playoffs, they got guys like Christian McCaffrey. They have Trent Williams. They have George Kittle, Juwan Jennings, Brock Purdy. They have guys who have been to playoffs and Super Bowls on their roster. So that's going to help them when they're playing in the playoffs. And we've seen that before when the Niners played the Packers in Lambeau Field when they won with the last second field goal by fucking – what's his name?
Moody?
No. Oh, God. No, they would have lost that game.
Gold?
Yeah, but Robbie Gold.
Okay.
In that season, they had a good team, but that team was more based on just they were hot, and they had experience, and they were just going for it. And so that's why they got all the way to the NFC title game, and they lost the Rams. But I think this team can kind of do the same thing, where right now the defense is playing out of their minds. Granted, it's against shittier teams. And so that's why I call this fool's gold. Like, are we being fooled by this? Like, can they actually defend the Packers, the Eagles, the Rams? I don't know.
Yeah, that's my thing is the Colts game and the Colts game and the Bears games are probably going to paint the picture, and same with the Seattle game. But it's one of those things where I just don't believe in the defense, man. I don't want to get my hopes up. 4-0 make the playoffs. 2-2 do not make the playoffs.
You don't think so?
2-2, no. You have the Lions, who are 1 game back. So if the Lions win out, they take your spot. You have the Cowboys, who are a game and a tie back. So
that's so shitty to have a tie.
And the Cowboys play nobody. They play the Vikings, Chargers, Commanders, Giants, and then they play the Lions. But if they get past that Lions game, that's a serious threat to your playoff spot. If you're the Niners, you have to go 3-1, in my opinion.
I don't think
2-2 makes the playoffs.
I don't think you can go 4-0. I think it's a possibility, but I just don't see it happening.
If they go 4-0, this conversation I'll have, not believing in them running the table, would be different. I just don't see it. I think they're going to get exposed defensively and semi-offensively. I think our offense is limited. The only thing that I think is going to be really good still is going to be the special teams. I think special teams is one of those things that's it's just playing really well.
Really well. Now, this was the graphic I put up really, really quick, but this is the, I think it's from NFL.com. It shows the percentages, if in terms of the matchup predictor. And it shows the Niners are favored in 3 of these 4 games. Now, does that mean they're going to win? No. But it shows you that the Niners have been very competitive, and this can change from week to week. If they go out there and get trampled by the Colts, then all these will change.
Yeah.
But this does give me hope that the Niners can actually pull this off, because that would be really, really amazing if they went 3-1. But when you look at the Fox Sports Super Bowl odds, right? They're not even on the damn list.
I mean, that's what I'm saying.
Wait, what? The Chiefs, the fucking Chiefs are on there.
I mean, okay, so, but this is what I'm saying. Look at this list. Which of these teams right here could the Niners defense stop?
Green Bay. Green Bay and maybe Seattle because, I mean, really, it's
Can
all about
they,
Sam
though?
Darnold. I think they can. I mean, they did in week 1, but we also had Fred Warner and Nick Bosa.
And Nick Bosa.
And Mykel Williams.
And Mykel Williams. And against the Rams, we had Fred Warner and Mykel Williams. Like this Packers offense too, like my thing is our defense just has nobody. It has no talent. Like our best player is Keon White, who was a practice player for the Patriots. Like
you're talking about these guys right here. Look at Cleveland Farrell.
Yeah.
4 games, 14 tackles, 9 solo, 4 sacks, 4 tackles for a loss, 4 quarterback hits, 9 pressures. Keon White, bunch of stats as well. Hey, look, I'll give him this. Robert Saleh has found a way to get.
Yes, he's getting a coaching job.
I still don't think he is. I hope he doesn't, but he probably will. But look what he's getting out of these guys. Guys that they traded for and signed off the street. And Cleveland Farrell is playing hella good. It's incredible.
Saleh is incredible. But again, as we saw the Rams, with a good offense, you can exploit the hell out of our lack of talent.
You can. And you know what pisses me off is that I saw this and I thought, oh my God, you've got to be kidding me. And the Chiefs are always over here saying like, oh, it's not fair. Everyone's against us. Look at their fucking schedule. They got Houston, the Chargers, Tennessee, Denver, and the Raiders.
I'll say the Houston game. Houston looks good. Like
Houston looks good.
Actually looks gross.
I mean, really, Houston, the Chargers, and Denver are going to be tough games for them. But Tennessee, they have 2 gimme games in Tennessee and the Raiders. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, those are, dude. I don't want the Chiefs to make the playoffs. I
want them to be watching on their couches, like, oh, this sucks. What happened?
I do not want that team in the playoffs, man.
And then when we look at the overall power rankings of in the NFL, there they are, number 10, the Niners. But when you look at who's left on the schedule, I mean, aside from Tennessee,
who in the hell has the Niners ranked better than the Eagles?
The Eagles are tripping right now. That's why they have them up there, because they've been sucking ass. Same with the Lions too. The Cowboys are 16th, but that's because their record.
Yeah, give the Eagles the Browns, Panthers, and Cardinals in back to back. So I think they would.
So if you look at who's left, you're playing against the number 4 seed, number 5 seed, and the number 7 seed. I mean, that's a good,
and the 31st seed. Don't forget
the 31st seed, of course. We basically have 2 bye weeks, but so again, they're playing teams that are better than them, that are ranked higher than them. I think they can beat the Bears. I really do. I
think the Bears are beatable for sure.
Absolutely. I haven't seen enough out of Caleb Williams where I'm like, this guy will carve you up. No,
I think every one of the teams we play against is beatable. I just don't see that defense being able to string together that many. Plus, again, people are talking Super Bowl run. I don't see this defense being able to string together 7 straight top tier level performances.
That's a lot.
That's a lot to ask of these. And actually, no, because you have to count the 2 games they just did. So it's 9 straight, like, top tier performances from this defense.
And you also got to consider too, like, it's tough to beat a team 3 times. So even if the Niners do end up beating Seattle in the end, they may face them again in the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're telling me they're going to beat them a 3rd time? Probably not.
Yeah.
Look at the Rams. We beat them in the season twice, and then we had to go against them in the NFC title game. We lost.
That's Tart's fault, and he is exiled for it.
He's been exiled for that. But still, like I said, it's tough to beat a team 3 times in the NFL. In baseball, you could do it, but in football, that's
a hard ask, dude. It's a very hard, and that's what I'm saying. Like, a lot of people are like upset that I'm saying the Niners can't do it. It's not because I don't think they're a good team. I if healthy, I'd say this is the Niners' year. There is not a team that could touch them. But they don't have their best players on defense. Like, it's hard to win in the NFL, period. It's very hard to win a Super Bowl in the NFL, even at your best, as we saw in 2023. It's even harder to win a Super Bowl without your top 3 edge rusher and the best linebacker in football.
Well,
that's really hard.
About that, what are the possibilities that Fred Warner comes back for the postseason?
I am going to mimic what Kyle said and say it is not happening.
When we look at this from Matt Burrows, he can't be wrong. Wild card, 15%. Divisional round, 44%. Championship round, 78%. Super Bowl, just try and stop him %, which I agree with that part. I still believe, and I was telling this to my buddy Aaron, you get in the divisional round, there is a chance that he comes back. I really do believe that. And the reason why is because when you look at his rehab video, I mean, look at this guy.
Again, I will never count Fred out. But my thing is, every time Kyle is asked, hey, if you guys make a deep run, if you guys make the Super Bowl, Kyle says, no, I haven't even asked. I don't think so. So that is, if the coach is even like, yeah, there's not a chance, I'm inclined to say, like, it's not even being a conversation. So there's no chance. Like, you remember last year with the Lions and Aiden Hutchinson, right? Like, they were talking about that even leading into the playoffs. Like, if we make a run, he's back. If we make a run, he's back.
He snapped his leg in half. It was like,
yeah. But that's what I'm saying is they were talking about it.
Yeah.
Like with us, it's the complete opposite. Kyle's like, no. Even if we make a run, no. So that to me means everyone who's talking about it, including Fred's camp and doctors and whatever, are saying like, yeah, no, we're going to wait till next season. Again, if it's if I have a feeling you'll start hearing rumblings, like you said, if they like make the divisional or win the divisional, I could hear like Fred's really ramping up this rehab.
If NFC title game, I can guarantee you he's going to come back regardless. He's like, I'll be ready. Even if it's a rotational position, he'll be like, I'm there.
Yeah, like I think, and again, I think that is a very big caveat what you just said. I don't think Fred would be the starter come Super Bowl, come NFC Championship. I think he would rotate in though, because you have to also remember you have to play the hot hand when you're streaky like this, right? So if you go in and your defense is playing phenomenal,
11 gets us in, man.
I don't know I don't know where you're getting 11 gets us in. Where are you getting
11
that?
and 6? I think you can, because a lot of these teams are going to start losing games, but you have to hope that the Niners can get that done.
Okay, but if Cowboys win the next 5, they're 11 and 5-1, so they take our spot.
He said, do the math.
Cowboys would be 11-5-1. We would be 11-6. That means Cowboys take the spot. So we'd be out. The Cowboys don't beat anyone in front of us. So no, that's wrong. The Cowboys literally would take the spot.
So let's go with Cam's dad. Are the Cowboys winning out? They might.
Their hardest game is the Lions. Then they play J.J. McCarthy, Justin Herbert with no offensive line, the Commanders with Marcus Mariota, and then a Giants team that's tanking. So yes,
Easy
they can.
wins.
If they beat the Lions, they are very much alive, and their team looks very good right now. They just beat the Chiefs and the Eagles, not the Browns and the Panthers, the Chiefs and the Eagles. So yeah, they could win out. They've made moves to do so.
And talk about a huge Thursday night game, Cowboys, Lions. If the Lions lose this game, I think they're fucked.
No, I think Cam's dad, they have a tie. So they will not be 11. If they win 11-6, they're not winning out. They're 6-5-1. If they win out, they're 11-5-1. So they would have a better record.
A tie is better than a loss.
Cam, we can't tie them. They have a tie.
Okay, so like I was saying, this Thursday night it's gonna be a big game. Lions, Cowboys. The Lions are cooked. If they don't win this game, they're cooked.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now,
Yep,
they're in
I
a
agree.
bad spot. If they lose this game, let's say they lose the following week, then it's like, all right, put everybody on IR, we're done.
This game is huge for the Niners because because then you have the Lions behind you. So it's not like a sigh of relief, but this game eliminates another playoff contender if you're the Niners. If the Lions win, Yeah, I mean, you're not rooting for either team if you're a Niner fan, but if the Lions win, the Cowboys are officially eliminated. The Lions aren't, but the Lions have to play the Cowboys, Rams, Steelers, Vikings, who suck, and then the Bears. So their schedule ain't easy the remainder of the year. So yeah, like
and look, when it comes back to Fred Warner, and you're like, I'm going to go with what Kyle says. Not everything Kyle says is the truth, and we know that, especially when he talks about injuries,
for sure.
Especially when he talks about players. And one of the players I wanted to ask you about, because I haven't had a chance to talk to you about it, was Brandon Ayuk.
Man.
Do you look? We got the news about all the voided money, guaranteed money, setting up for his possible release at the end of the season, or maybe even a trade. It looks very similar. I think what's going to happen is very similar to what we saw with either Eric Armstead or Deebo Samuel, where they're going to trade him, and another team will get the first shot at trying to sign this guy to see what he's got. But I think they only trade him if he plays, and I don't think he's going to play, because why the fuck would he want to play? I don't think he wants to play for this team ever again.
Yeah, and in my opinion,
I don't.
And in my opinion with BA, it's kind of the same as when I was saying, like, well, if Mac Jones was still playing up to this point, you couldn't put back in Purdy. Same thing with BA. If you have to ride the momentum at this point, if you're the Niners, you have too many injuries. And so if BA wants to come back, he'd come back as a rotational piece. And it's like, do you really want to mess that up? Because Juwan, Bourne, and Pearsall are kind of gelling finally.
Yeah.
Kittle's gelling. How much better is Brandon Ayuk right now? And again, like you said, does he even want to play? So it's like, it's really tricky. I'd love BA to come back just because I love BA. But I agree. I don't think he ever wants to play for this team again. He just literally handed them $26 million and said, please let me leave.
He was like, here, I want you guys to save $84 million over the next 3 seasons,
Yeah.
and I'm going to go somewhere else. But it's crazy to think about, because if you listen to Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco, they were like, hey, most players would say, trade me. I don't care. I'm keeping my money, but you got to trade me.
Yes.
And I'd do the same thing. I'd be like, okay, well, you guys got to trade me. I don't want to be here anymore. You guys figure that out.
You know how hostile they have to have made it for him to, like they said, give up $84 million in guarantees.
I don't get it, dude. I don't get it. And I really believe that Brandon Ayuk, I believe a couple of things. One, I think that he did not think that they would void his contract. I think he thought,
for sure,
they're not going to do that. And then they fucking did it, and they were like, oh, shit. And then what are you going to argue? Well, I didn't think they were going to do it, so I didn't think to show up to those team activities. It sounds kind of dumb when you think about it. Now, he could have filed a grievance, and I'm sure the Players Association would have stepped in and tried to defend the guy, and they would have got some of his money back somehow, some way. Who knows?
For sure. But he didn't. He was like, I don't care. Take it. I don't want to play for you.
But who does that? And then the fact that you have Kyle Shanahan saying, "Oh, we hope he comes back. We hope that he gets on the field." John Lynch a couple weeks ago was like, the whole plan was for him to get back on the field." And then now John Lynch is saying, "Well, I'm not sure if he's ever going to make it back on the field." Look, he's not going to come back. I don't think he comes back.
No.
Why would he come back? What if he comes back and he hurts himself? Then he's like, "Oh shit, no, I'm really fucked." No, to me, he will not come back. He's not going to play. He's done.
Yeah, he would be stupid to play. He just voided his entire contract with them. So it's just for 2026. Sorry. It's looking like he is going to get released by them. So he'd be stupid to play and risk getting hurt. And yeah, I agree. Brandon Ayuk seemed to have been like my 3-year-old, where it's like, I'm going to keep poking at you, smacking you, pinching you. Mm-hmm. Like if you do that, or how he does it to his friends, right? I'm going to keep picking at him. And I go, Jackson, he's going to hit you back if you keep doing it. And he's going to keep poking, keep pinching, keep slapping. And then he gets hit back and he goes, whoa, what the hell? And then I'm looking at you like, yeah, I told you you're going to get hit back. That's what Brandon Ayuk was doing. He was like, I'm going to keep picking at you.
Crazy. And
then you hit me back. And I love BA. And I put most of this blame on the front office, because I highly doubt BA has just been this horrible human being towards the 49ers since signing. I doubt it. I think what happened, my theory lines up a lot with like Rich Madrid's theory, which was they signed the contract. BA started playing bad. The front office and Kyle started basically going at it because they're like, this is why we didn't even want to sign him. He's held out, yada, yada, yada. The front office started making it really weird and uncomfortable for BA. Then he got hurt. Then they started shopping him, which pissed him off. And then they did the whole rehab thing, and BA was like, well, I don't want to do your rehab. I want to do what everyone else is doing and rehab away. And I was like, well, then we're going to make an example out of you because they don't like him anyways. And then they voided it. And then BA came back because remember his mom tweeted he would be ready for week 1. His mom was like on Twitter in the summer tweeting he would be ready for week 1. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, that's weird because Kyle and John are saying there's no shot. And then he started showing up at practices and he looked really good, like pre-game and in practice. And then he disappeared. So I think what happened was he then said, okay, then trade me. In the summer, they couldn't get a deal that they liked. So then he stopped officially showing up because his guarantees were already voided.
Yeah. And you know, his running that short route at Allegiant Stadium in the preseason against the Raiders, I think he did that as a way of showing the rest of the world, like,
yes, I'm good.
Like I'm not done. You know, like, I can still run this route. Look at that. Is it as crisp as it could be? No, but like I'm much farther along than they want you to believe.
That's when I started getting red flags, like sirens started going off in my head. Absolutely. Was when he did that, and then they asked him about it, and they're like, we're still thinking like week 10. I was like, what? That does not look like a player who is like 10, 11 weeks away from playing football.
And I think really it's come down to every week at this point. I think they've somehow either contacted him or waited for his contact, heard nothing, and was like, well, it's not going to be this week. Well, it's not going to be this week.
Yeah.
Because I think he's moved on. I mean, yeah, he comes to the facility.
He's going to be a commander, bro. He's going to be a commander.
And I was telling Grant a few weeks ago, I'm like, dude, I feel like there's some kind of guarantee floating around the background. Like there's Jaden Daniels saying, dude, we'll sign you. Don't worry about it, dude. Like I'll get them to bring you on, dude. There's no way that you're going to be a free agent very long. Like, no. If anyone's going to sign you, I'm going to make sure my team fucking signs you. Because, I mean, it's awfully confident to be like, well, I lost all my money. I'm not going to fucking argue it. I'm just going to move on. I've never seen a player do that. I've never seen it happen before.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think they're going to most likely, I think the most likely thing is they might trade him to the Commanders. Because I'm pretty sure if they release him, he has to go through waivers, no? Like, he has to clear. Or is that only in season?
I think it's in season.
Okay.
Like after the season, if it's a post June 1st designation, then he becomes just a free agent. He can go wherever he wants. That's how he ended up in the Jaguars. Eric Armstead.
I think they won't. I think it's still most likely going to be a trade situation because I think it'll just be like a deal, right? Like the Commanders will like trade for him for like a 3rd or 4th round. And my guess is there was something in the background that was like, okay, if you just void these guarantees, free and easy, we'll trade you to them. Then you can restructure your contract, which makes it smaller and fill in the empty space in 2026 by spreading out whatever you got going on in your deal with them.
Yeah, but I mean, by this time next season, he'll be a Commander.
I agree.
I think it'll happen, you know, right.
And I think he's going to ball out too, which is going to be so annoying.
Well, you never know. I mean, Debo went there, and he hasn't done shit. But then again, Jaden Daniels freaking had a Gumby arm, like, so he's been out, which is pretty gross. It was like, oh god. And then on KMBR, John Lynch was on there with them.
I hate him.
He did say they asked him, has relationship or communication been affected at all since the voids went public? Lynch responded with, I don't know that the reporting was the inflection point, but the entire time it hasn't been great. You do your best to rectify things. Everyone's got to be professional and conduct themselves in that manner. So basically what he's saying is he was acting like a little bitch. And so since he violated the terms of the contract, we said, okay, well, fuck you.
Yeah.
Void. And I think really if he'd shown up to even half of those, meetings, whatever, and had a good attitude and was like really into it, they probably would have been like, we're not going to.
They were saying he had a good attitude. Remember? They were saying all
Yeah.
training camp he was like a coach and he was in all the meetings and yada, yada, yada. So I don't know. I think, honestly, I think they just didn't like him. They didn't like the signing. So the second they saw an ability to get out of it, they got out of it.
They did.
Yeah. I think they just didn't like him. The only one in the building that wanted him there was Kyle.
And well, yeah, Kyle. And the thing too is that if I'm Brandon Ayuk and they're like, "Hey, you did this, we're gonna avoid all your guaranteed money," I'd be like, "Okay, I'm probably not gonna play for you ever again." But
Yeah,
I am
for
gonna
sure.
use your facility and trainers because I want to make sure that I'm rehabbing, correctly, which they're obligated to have him show up and work on his rehab. And he's been doing it before the team gets there, or the majority of the players get there. He does that early in the morning and gets out. So, and a lot of these players, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm gonna rehab out of state in Florida, in wherever the fuck," and they let him do it. And I think that they didn't like that, so that's why they put that clause in the contract.
Yep.
And maybe he didn't know. I couldn't tell you how the agent wasn't like, "Yo, bro, you guys show up." I don't know, but it is what it is. But here's the thing: is the Niners are going to benefit a lot from this move because they're going to save a total of $84 million over the next 3 seasons. Now, I've been saying this for the past few weeks. The Niners are going to use that money that they're going to recoup from Brandon Ayuk, and they're going to sign another pass rusher. Maybe a D tackle, maybe a defensive end. I think that's what they're going to do with this money is that they're going to get a pass rusher. And I also think that they'll probably re-sign Juwan Jennings, possibly, but it'd only be for like a 2-year deal.
Yeah, so
because if you went into next season with just,
there's a lot of free agents the Niners could use that money for and make some noise this offseason, in my opinion. Like, you could give Trey Hendrickson a big 1 or 2 year deal.
Absolutely.
If it's anything more than that, I would shoot myself.
2-year deal.
You have Braden Smith, the tackle from the Colts, the right tackle, which would be very, very nice. I'm pretty sure they already signed McKivitz. You have Joel Bitonio from the Browns, or Bitonio. He's available. Like, you have some options. You even have Hassan Reddick you could sign for like a 1-year rental. DJ Reader from the Lions is a 1-year rental. Cam Robinson from the Browns. Like, there's a lot of use, in my opinion, in this year's like free agency.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think the Niners should not have parted ways with either Leonard Floyd or Malik Collins this past offseason?
I actually really liked Malik Collins, man. I thought he was pretty good last year for us, but the caveat to that is Alfred Collins has been really good. He has been really coming into his own. Dude, he's been really coming into his own this year. So I'm kind of like, yes, but no, because if Malik Collins was taking his snaps, who knows? Maybe he wouldn't have come into his own. And I think Jordan Elliott's been good. He's been solid. He's been a
Jordan
solid
Elliott
bet.
has been a much bigger surprise for me this season than he was last season. Last season, I thought he was a complete fucking letdown. I was like, dude, why did we even trade for this guy? This year, a little different. And that's why I think the Niners have a chance to beat a team like the Colts because they're going to rely heavily on their running game. And the one thing the Niners do that they've been able to do pretty well is contain the run. And they don't even try to pass rush. They're like, dude, if we get home, fucking gravy. But it seems like they're like, hey, we got to focus on pass coverage and in the secondary and with the linebackers and containing the run. Make the team become one-dimensional and then focus on that as they fall behind, scoring. Last week, Quinshon Judkins ran for 91 yards. He was averaging 4 yards per carry, but they really shut him down in the second half. When the Browns were starting to run the football, they shut that down. And Dylan Sampson only had 23 yards rushing.
My biggest worry, though, playing the Colts, right, is the one thing the Browns don't have are good receivers, and a really good tight end.
They have Harold Fannin. They have Njoku. He's kind of old now.
I'd say Tyler Warren is better than both of them combined into one human. And so, that's my worry, right, is when you have to worry about Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs. Because remember what killed us against the Rams was, dude, Kyron Williams was just all over the place. Our linebackers just could not keep track.
Mhm.
Jonathan Taylor is going to be just like that, except better.
Right.
So
But,
that's
I mean,
kind of my worry.
They did swallow up. That sounds gross, but they did contain Bijan Robinson, who had a monster.
Yes.
Who was having a monster season leading up to that Niner game.
Yeah.
And they were able to contain him because the coaching staff of Robert Saleh, Gus
Yep.
Bradley,
Mhm.
those guys are dominating with
Yeah.
very little talent. I mean,
Yeah.
look, they have talent, but not as much as some other teams, or as much as they could have had. But what they're being able to do with the guys they do have is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, no, and I do agree. I think what they are able to do right now is very, very nice. It's been kind of like, a breath of fresh air to see them do this kind of stuff. But remember, that was the Fred Warner juice game. Like, he came out, he was rallying the troops, and they were just kind of going crazy. So it's one of those things where it's like, I've always wanted to be like, well, what can we see when you don't have that Fred Warner juice? And, it's not been that great besides the Panthers and the Browns.
Well, and you got to look at, too, coming off the bye week, might not be versus the Titans, but definitely against the Colts. Sam O will be back. Tatum Bethune will be back. Yeturgos Matos will be back by then. So the Niners are going to get another pass rusher in Yeturgos Matos. Cross your fingers. He doesn't.
Oh, yeah. Gross Matos. He's about as impactful as Ben Barch, man.
And what about Ben Barch? Like, Jesus Christ, this poor guy. He can't catch a break.
He's Jason Verrett, but not as good.
Oh, my God. And then he's out for the year. Like,
Yeah,
what?
dude.
A foot sprain? Come on, man. What the fuck? Okay.
Yeah.
A couple more things before we wrap things up. Where did it go? Right here. I wanted to ask you about this. Now that Ben Barch is out for the season on IR, which was like, are you fucking serious? What do you think about the idea of possibly bringing back Laken Tomlinson as a rotational piece? Not as a starter, but as experience.
Yeah, sure. As like a backup, like he might be better than Connor Colby. I like
think
how
he would
Burford
be.
looked. I liked how Burford looked against Myles Garrett. I think he looked good, only allowing 1 sack as a defensive line. You're doing something right. So sure, if he wants to be a backup, why not? But yeah, he's pretty bad. So
I mean, I would bring him back as a backup because would you rather go with him or Connor Colby? At this point of the year, I'd probably bring him in just to see what we can get out of him, because if he can come in and be a viable backup, then hey, that's great. He's experienced. He's had a long career. He was good with us. Not so good with the Lions, not so good with the Texans, but still, he's a guy that we're familiar with. And so for me, I would bring this guy in because the fact that Ben Barch went down, who can just never, ever.
Yeah. The vet I want the Niners to grab is Kaiser White. That's who I want them to grab.
Yeah.
I think they need the line. I think he's better than Howie Kendricks. I think they need to grab a linebacker in case Tatum Bethune goes down again, or just to get Luke Gifford off my football field. My God, please get him off the football field.
Hey, the Rams are like, hey, hang on to Luke Gifford. We'll make sure we expose him again. Okay, last thing I want to talk about, and it's because it's the hot topic, is Brock Purdy the answer at quarterback, or are you still on the fence saying, I would rather have Mac Jones, I'd rather have somebody else as the Niners?
So here's my thing. He played one good game. That is his one good game he has had in the last year and a half, and it was good. That's it. It wasn't great. Like, I think I graded it a B. It was good. It was a good game. It was very promising, which is what I'll say. But, dude, I'm already paying you so much money to have a promising game in a year and a half. Doesn't make me like, oh, he's the franchise guy. He didn't score when he wasn't in short field. It's a tough defense, so I'll give him that. But again, a franchise quarterback, I want you to at least drive down there once and score a touchdown. I don't think that's a crazy ask. Again, I have to see the rest of this year, because who knows? What if he goes to Indy and has a complete stinker, meltdown, can't stop turning it over, and we get blown out again? What if he goes to the Bears, does it again? What if he goes to Seattle, does it again, and we finish the season 1-3, don't make the playoffs? Then I'd be like,
See, No, I hear what you're saying, but see, I think it's the opposite. I think that this was the game where he put it all together and said, "Wait a minute." I think Shanahan got in his ear and said, "Hey, you can't, like you were saying, you can't do that against the Browns. You can't do that as we move forward in the season. This has to stop, and you have to go back to what worked, which was."
I hope. Yeah.
I mean, it's either that or he watched a lot of film and was like, dude, what am I doing? Because we saw a lot of throwing the ball away, protecting the football.
Yeah.
He got pressured. He scrambled out, got rid of the football. He was doing all the things that made him and the Niners successful in 2023. And that's what he has to continue to do the next 4 weeks and beyond is play like that.
I agree.
Take what the defense gives you, run the Shanahan offense. If you don't have anything, get rid of the ball.
And that's my thing is, I even tweeted, I hope to God that Brock Purdy keeps along this and starts, because that's what made him like promising at first, right? In 2022, 2023 was it's like, okay, if he could run this offense and like weave in playmaking, he could be great.
Right.
But the issue is 2024 and this year outside of the Browns game, it has been like kind of like he's had a weird ego. Like, I need to prove that I'm a playmaker. And then finally in Cleveland, it seems like it was like, oh, I don't need to prove I'm a playmaker. He also seemed to have a lot more fun with the Dougie and stuff like that. Like, I think that stuff actually helps quarterbacks like him that are being too serious. And, dude, please keep running read options and RPOs. I have been saying it all year. Copy the Jackson Dart offense with Brock Purdy. These short little read options, RPOs, tell Brock to get down, though, and not be Jackson Dart with getting hit. Like, I think you just need to make it, like, tailor it a bit more to Brock's strength, which is that 10-yard burst speed. Just allow him to play a little bit more loose, because I think that's the problem is, like, usually when you're playmaking like Purdy and turning it over, it's because you're too loose. I think it's the complete opposite. He's always thinking, I need to make something happen. I need to score a touchdown. When you just don't. Just throw it away. Or check it down. So like I hope you're right.
This was the most 2023 Brock game that I've seen all year. And so that's why what I saw him doing, I was like, dude, this is what I want to see from Brock Purdy. A guy who's smart with the football, the guy who doesn't turn the ball over, and the guy that strikes when he has to and does it with accuracy. That's the Brock Purdy, and he could move in the pocket. And we saw him scrambling a lot in the pocket this past game as Myles Garrett was chasing him around trying to rip his head off. But, I mean, Brock was 16-29 for 168 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, and a quarterback rating of 83.7. He only got sacked one time. That was Myles Garrett. So
and that's the thing, like,
what he has to do.
Yeah, and that completion percentage is super, it's super, like, skewed because he threw the ball away a lot.
Yeah.
But that's what I'll take, because in the Panthers game, the balls he should have thrown away were picks. So I'd much rather take because there was one play, I can't even remember it. It was one play where he was running around forever. He couldn't find anything, and he just turned it down. He wasn't getting pressured. He just threw it out of bounds. He's like, this play's just not going to work. And he just turned it away. And then they got a first down the next play on third down, and they went and scored. And I tweeted it as it happened. I was like, that is the kind of play that for the past year and a half, he'd have thrown a pick, and we wouldn't have gotten any points. And this week, he just turned it down. I was like, let's just live to fight another play. And he scored after.
And you know who else is doing that? Who throws the ball away? Is when there's nothing available, Matthew Stafford. He did the same thing. He would throw it away. So I think Brock took a step in the right direction in terms of getting back to where he was at in 2023. And look, I'm a Brock Purdy fan. Like, I'm rooting for Brock when I'm out there. So I'm saying when he's out there.
Yeah.
And so seeing him play the way he did against the Browns, loved it. I loved every minute of it.
He just looked more loose. He looked like he was having more fun.
More in command of the offense. Like, he understood what needed to be done every snap. And he's got to take that with him against the last 4 teams of the season, and we'll see where that goes. But
because that's what I was talking about with Grant was you always heard it like whenever they were talking about Mac, right? Trent said it, George said it, Christian said it, everyone said it. Like, oh, Mac's just more fun. He's a little bit more loose. It's kind of like
doesn't matter.
It relaxes you. No, but in my opinion, with Brock, it does, because you saw against the Browns, like when he's a little bit more loose and a little bit more relaxed, like I'm just going to kind of have fun. I'm going to score and do a dance. I'm going to just, like when he's just kind of playing football and allowed to just kind of be himself And I think that's when he goes back to 2023. Because I think that's what was so good about him in 2022 and 2023, right? Was he didn't have any pressure. It was like, I don't have to be a superhero. I don't have to make all these plays. I can just kind of enjoy myself and be Mr. Irrelevant. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Whereas the last couple years, it's been more like, I need to earn this contract. I need to show that I'm one of the best in the league. And then it seems like yesterday he kind of turned it back to, I'm just going to be me and whatever happens, happens. And it looked really good.
Well, yeah. And I think that, they're playing with house money right now. I mean, look, this is the team that most people wrote off for dead after the loss of Bosa, the loss of Warner, and the fact that they're 9-4, the fact that they have a shot to go be the number 1 seed in the NFC, which is crazy as it sounds. That's crazy. And like I said, they're playing with house money. They have nothing to lose. So even when they get in the playoffs, it's like, we're not even supposed to be here. This is fucking great. Now,
those are the upset teams too. Because you have like at the Rams, again, if we play Rams in the first round, who has more pressure? The Rams are healthy. Stafford's going to retire soon. Like, this is your year. Whereas the Niners, it's like, fuck it. Let's go have some fun. Let's see what happens.
Well, but look, I mean, you've seen teams like the Chiefs get in the playoffs, doesn't have the best defense, doesn't have the best offense, but based on their experience alone, they can get all the way to the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Because they're just a more experienced team, and they've been through the ups and downs, the rigors of a season.
Yeah.
And a lot of these guys have been on the team for a long time, so they just kind of come together and they make something happen. And I think that's their biggest asset going into the playoffs is that they have a lot of guys who have been there for a while. And if they ride the wave and they're able to end the season on a high note, I think the Niners can make some noise in the postseason.
I'll say that if Brock Purdy wins a Super Bowl somehow with this team, I will never speak a bad word about it. I will buy a Super Bowl jersey.
You're such a liar, dude.
That
You're
day.
such a fucking liar.
I swear on my life, I will never, if he wins a Super Bowl somehow this year with this team, I will buy a jersey the day he wins, and I will never speak a bad word. He could throw 8 picks.
You should make that Gore jersey a Brock Purdy jersey.
It will. I will never take it down if he can somehow win. But that's how confident I am that he won't. I am 100% willing.
I think he can, man. I really think he can. Papa J writes, "Fun makes a whole makes a whole lot of difference. Just ask Tom Brady's teammates. They all say he was a hoot."
How many Super Bowl rings did Tom Brady have versus Brock Purdy though? Because since they're the same player, they must have the same amount. How many rings did Brock Purdy have his first 5 years in the league versus Purdy?
Look, if you really want to see a difference between look at Joe Burrow. He came back after the turf toe. He had the surgery and everything. He came back and he just fucking lit it up. And so that's what we want to see out of Brock Purdy. And I think that what we saw on Sunday, that's the Brock Purdy I want to see every single
That's
week
the Brock Purdy that can win games. That's the Brock Purdy that can help them win games. And all I'll say is my only criticism against Brock, against Cleveland, is I felt he played a little too safe, which I'm not going to complain about. Again, it was Cleveland. We had short field, take what you're given. But when you're starting to talk about the Seattles and the Rams and the Colts, you can't just play like he did in the Super Bowl with the Chiefs. Yeah, he played a good game, but he was too safe. He was too timid. And so you need to that's what I'm saying. He needs to weave together his playmaking with the system, And that's what will kind of, in my opinion, put him over the top.
What's crazy that in the Super Bowl, they were like, the Niners offense, they want you to play zone defense against them because that's where they thrive.
Yeah.
But now all of a sudden teams are playing zone against the Niners and they're having a hard time with the offense and he's throwing interceptions. So it's interesting that they're adapting to him and now he has to adapt back and kind of make that adjustment.
It's because what they're doing is they're baiting the middle of the field. The Panthers did it. Rich did a really good film review on it. If anyone's interested, what teams are doing where they're forcing him to turn the ball over a lot this year is they're opening the middle of the field, at least by the guys, because he floats passes. So they're making it look like it's more open. And so the second he floats one in there, either a receiver is getting hammered or it's a pick because they're just basically baiting it. They're going fishing. And it seems like Brock realized that. And then against Cleveland, because Cleveland tried doing it and Brock's like, nah, not this time.
And there were a lot of plays, if you watch Johnny Dell's breakdown, where he'd be looking middle the whole way, and then on the break, he would throw it to the sideline to Ricky Pearsall or to Jennings for a first down. But he was sort of baiting their own bait to go into the middle of the field, and then he'd go to the edges, and you're just like, oh shit.
He played a good game, man, and he had a couple passes that actually had some zip on them. Finally, it didn't look like a 13-year-old was throwing it. So I was like, dude, if he can, No,
it's true. There were a lot of throws that had a lot of zip on it where I was like, dude, there it is. That's the part I want to see. And I think that it's taking him time to get back into the rhythm and getting back in the shape of football. Yeah, he's been on practice, but he's not been in the game,
Yeah. And I think the Titans are a perfect game after a bye, bro. You just get back, like, because, sometimes, like, Kyle Shanahan teams actually are notoriously very good after the bye. But I think that's even more like momentum building, right? Like, it's basically like in college where you get a tune-up game to start the season. Like, Niners come back from a bye rejuvenated and healthy, and then they beat the piss out of the Titans. They're like, oh, bro, ain't no one touching us. Going into their hard stretch, I like it.
It's like what a lot of the college teams do. Like Alabama, they get a bye, then they play against like Slapstick
Chattanooga,
State. They just kick the shit out of them. Yeah, Citadel. Like, what are they going to do?
And then you go into a game like Georgia, and you're like, nah, these guys can't fuck with us. Yeah. And then you win. And then that just reaffirms your confidence. Like, I think that kind of will help the Niners. Again, it's like we come back, bitch slap the Titans, and then you're like, the next week it's like the Colts, nah, they can't touch us either. And then you beat them and you're just continuing to build that momentum. Like the Bears, nah. Then you beat them and then you're looking at Seattle and you're like, we already beat these clowns. And then you beat them and you're like, bro, we're in the playoffs.
I mean, you want to set it up to where the Seattle game isn't the deciding game of the of your postseason appearance. So you want to take care of business the next 3 weeks, but can they do it? I think they can.
But I will say, if you can go into that Seattle game and that game's for first seed in the NFC, that'd be juicy.
Can you imagine that if they won the number one seed and they get the home field advantage for the playoffs? Like, holy cow!
Okay, so here's the thing, right? So you and I are both in agreement. The Bears are not holding on.
No, not.
So the Bears aren't holding on to that. The Rams got the Lions and Seattle. So we really need to be Lions or Seahawks fans those weeks, because if the Rams beat them and the Niners win out, I think the only one standing in the way of them in first seed is Green Bay, which, Green Bay play the Bears twice, the Broncos, the Ravens, and the Vikings. Damn, that's going to be tough to not let them get first seed. But, dude, there's a chance.
There's a chance. There's a chance. There's always a chance.
Yes.
Guys, that's going to do it for the show. I want to thank Tyler for coming out here and talking some Niners football. I want to thank everyone in the chat as well. Cam's dad, Papa J. They were just having their own conversation.
Yeah.
Which I love it. It's great. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by going over and supporting me over on Patreon, or going to my website, which is DreAreaSports.com, and become a member under Dre Area Sports. I think memberships start as low as $1, so I appreciate everyone who's already a member and supporting the channel. And then I'll be live again on Friday, possibly tomorrow with Drew, but I gotta work that out. But we'll be live Friday with Aaron and Sterling for Cover 3, so definitely check that out. We'll be going over some of the bye week news and what's to come for the rest of the season, so get ready for that. Tyler, dude, thank you for coming on. We gotta do it again, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Looking forward to it. Hopefully after we beat the piss out of the Titans. Absolutely. Guys, from Tyler, from Dre, myself, we'll see you guys next time. Go Niners. Peace.
You're listening to the Dre Area Sports Show, live on YouTube and X. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe.